Hi everyone, welcome to the webinar and workshop series conducted by TCS in lieu of the upcoming SCS exams happening in November 2025. My name is Nicholas and I'm the lead tutor and evaluator for SCS at TCS. So let's look at the session outcomes. So first things first, I'm going to share some technical knowledge with you concerning your SCS exam. Some of you might be coming through the general route. If that is the case, this will be your third CIMA case study. So you will have a good understanding of how your knowledge is tested. But some of you might be coming through an exemption route, and this might be your first CIMA SCS or CIMA case study examination. So it's essential that you understand how your knowledge is tested and at the same time what you need to do when it comes to conducting preparations. So that's why I'm going to share some insights about the technical elements concerning your examination. And in the second part of today's webinar, I'm going to share an 8-week study plan with you. And if you stick to the study plan, you can conduct your preparations in a stress-free environment, which ensures that you pass the upcoming exam comfortably. And before we get into the technicalities, let me quickly remind you of the upcoming webinars and workshops we have scheduled for you. So the second webinar, which is focused on the pre-scene document, will be conducted on Friday, the 3rd of October, which is next Friday at 18 GMT or 7 PM UK. So in this pre-scene analysis session, I'm going to take you through the internal and external dynamics of your chosen company. As you know, focused on the exams happening in November 2025 and February 2026 sittings, the pre-scene will be released this Friday. So coinciding with this pre-scene release on the same day, I will be conducting an in-depth pre-scene analysis and make sure to attend it without fail to gain a good understanding of the internals and externals of your chosen company. And in the third webinar, Answering Technique, I will be teaching you answering and time management techniques, which are crucial to pass this examination. Not just teaching these techniques, I will also explain how to practically implement these techniques by taking you through a mock exam. I will take you through the question and answer of a mock exam which we have developed. Whilst doing so, I will explain how to practically implement these answering and time management techniques. And in the fourth webinar, Exam Prep, I will be sharing stress management techniques with you, because at this exam, the examiner is not just testing your theory knowledge and application, the examiner is also testing whether you can manage stressful situations. Because as a management accountant, once you're done with this examination, you will become a management accountant. So as a management accountant, you should have the capability to manage stressful situations. So that's why it's essential that you learn stress management techniques, which will be taught in the fourth webinar. And at the same time, I will take you through the exam blueprint, primarily focusing your attention towards the examiner's comments, because it's essential that you understand what the examiner expects from you when conducting your preparations focused on the upcoming SCS exam. And once we are done with the webinar series, we are kickstarting our workshop series. And in each workshop, I will take you through each syllabus pillar concerning your F3, P3, and E3 syllabi. And in each of these workshops, I will take you through a mock exam, thereby explaining how to structure your answers concerning one single syllabus element or conceptual element picked from each of these pillars. And in each of these workshops, I will be conducting Q&As as per our study plan. By the time we are conducting the workshops, you should be done with at least 2 mock exams. So once you're done with the first 2 mock exams, you will definitely have questions. All these questions can be addressed, can get addressed at each of these workshops, which are happening on a weekly basis. And in the final workshop, which happens 2 or 3 days before your examination, I will be sharing last-minute tips with you to make sure that you are capable of walking into the exam with a higher level of confidence. Because as per the CIMA examiner, if you believe in yourself, if you believe in your skill set, then it builds confidence, and confident students end up passing this exam comfortably. So make use of these free resources on offer. Get in touch with us on a weekly basis, which is the best way to keep tabs about your performance, and at the same time to learn technicalities and to learn techniques rather, which will ensure a sure pass in your upcoming examination. Having said that, let's try to understand the pathways which leads up to the SCS exam. So some of you might be coming through the CIMA general route. If so, you would have completed your E3, P3 and F3 OTQ examinations. So since you have completed your OTQs, you have already learned your theory. So when conducting your preparations, your life becomes easy relative to someone who is coming through an exemption route, because since you have already learned theory, you simply need to refine your application skills when conducting preparations in the upcoming 8 weeks. So if you're coming through the general route, you will be much more comfortable compared to someone who is coming through an exemption route. So those who are coming through exemption routes come through the CGMA path, the C-suite path, as well as the finance leadership program or the FLP path. So if you are coming through an exemption route, you will have to spend some additional effort to learn theory and at the same time figure out application. So when it comes to learning theory, if you are coming through an exemption route, since you have already completed some type of academic qualification, you will be comfortable with your E3 related syllabus elements. But when it comes to F3 and P3 syllabi, definitely you will have knowledge gaps, because these highly technical accountancy related elements are not covered in most academic qualifications. So you will have to spend some additional time to improve your knowledge levels, especially concerning the F3 and P3 elements. And on top of that, when developing your answers, you have to develop your answers in an extremely practical manner. So, there's a high level of prominence provided towards testing your application skills at this exam. So on top of learning theories, you will have to spend some more time to improve your application skills. However, don't worry. We at TCS, we have developed some additional resources primarily focused on those who are coming through the exemption route, with the intention of ensuring that you have the chance of learning all syllabus areas which will be covered in your examination, and at the same time you will have the opportunity to significantly learn and improve application skills. So if you're coming through the general route, it's simply a matter of improving your application skills. However, if you're coming through the exemption route, on top of learning application, you need to learn theoretical concepts as well. Don't worry. We have developed some additional resources with the prime intention of teaching you theory and application in the upcoming 8 weeks. All right, so these are the pathways. And then let's try to understand how your exam is structured. So you need to understand this is a PC-based examination. So you have two options at your disposal. You can either attempt the exam at home or attempt the exam at an examination center. So if you are experiencing frequent power outages or internet issues, do not attempt the exam at home. Attempt the exam at an examination center. Why am I saying this? Because whenever you are experiencing technical difficulties, it will throw you off your preparation strategy. And at the same time, it will expose you to additional levels of stress. I want you to avoid all stressful situations, because take it from me, it's not easy to sit in one place across 3 hours and be exposed to extreme levels of stress. So, on top of, having to sit in one place across 3 hours, having to work under exam stress, under a time pressured environment, on top of all these things, if you encounter technical difficulties, then it will pressurize you further. So in order to avoid undue stressful situations, what you need to do is you have to make sure, if you are encountering power outages frequently or internet issues, don't attempt the exam at home, attempt the exam at an examination center. And looking at the total time allocation of your entire paper, it comes up to 3 hours. And your paper is divided into 3 main tasks, and the time allocation on each task is 60 minutes. So if you have done your MCS exam, you'd realize that things are a bit different in this examination at the SCS exam. Why? Because at the MCS exam, there were 4 sections, and the time allocation for each section was 45 minutes, but things are a bit different now. there are only 3 sections at this exam, and the time allocation therefore for each section is 60 minutes. So let me quickly show you, how your, paper or your exam will be structured. So I'm going to take you through mock exam 2, which we have developed for a previous sitting, which was the May and August 2025 sittings. Okay. So if you look at the number of sections, you can see that there are 3 sections. The time allocation per section is 60 minutes, and you will see 2 or 3 subtasks within one section. So in this mock exam, in each section, we have included 3 subtasks, but sometimes you will see sections in which there are just 2 subtasks. Okay, so what you need to understand is the fact that in each section, you might see 2 or 3 subtasks. And the examiner, when it comes to testing your knowledge, tries to replicate a real-life corporate environment. So in a real-life corporate environment, it's as if you are meeting your finance director or head of finance, or it could be the CFO. And sometimes the CFO hands over an excerpt of board meeting minutes or some journal article or whatnot. And at the same time, you will see instances in which you are receiving an email from your superior, who is the CFO or the finance director or the head of finance of your chosen organization. So if you look at the first question, the CFO calls you to his office and hands over a document. And so let's look at what this document is. This gives you an indication of some type of an acquisition. So at office, this is, what will happen as well. So your superior will share some information with you, and after sharing information, the superior will ask you to fulfill certain requirements. So these requirements can be seen in bullet points in your paper. So since there are 3 subtasks, you see 3 different bullet points which highlight the requirements which you need to address when developing your answers. So similarly, I said that, let's see, yes, there's a question which is structured as an email as well. So I said that you might, the examiner might create a situation where you are receiving an email from your superior. So that's exactly what you can see here. You are receiving an email from the CFO. Your role is the senior finance manager. I'm going to talk about your responsibilities in a little while. And there's a subject and there's a body to this email. And along with the information highlighted within this scenario or the scenario of this email, you will also get access to reference material. So the reference material will indicate some additional information about the scenario faced by the company. So since the examiner wants to replicate a real-life corporate environment, always make sure that you are supposed to develop your answers in a practical manner, because if you provide highly theoretical answers, you are not going to pass this exam. Why am I saying this? Because when your superior is asking for your assistance, when your superior is asking you to evaluate something or asking for your recommendations, there's absolutely no point of you explaining conceptual elements or theories, because that is, you won't do that at office. So let's assume you are actually actually think that you are playing the role of a senior finance manager. So at office, when you receive an email from your superior, and if the superior is asking your help to manage stakeholders, as you know, when it comes to managing stakeholders, you can utilize what you have learned via the Mendelow's matrix, which comes under your E3 syllabus. So when developing your answer, rather than explaining the Mendelow's matrix, you should utilize the knowledge which you have gained and apply it, considering the information shared with you via each scenario. So there's a way in which you should structure your answers. You need to learn this technique. That is exactly what will be covered in the 3rd webinar. So it's essential that you attend the 3rd webinar to learn crucial answering and time management techniques. So your paper is divided into 3 different tasks, and in each section, the time allocation is 60 minutes. And in order to pass this examination, you need to score 80 out of 150 or 54%. So even if you screw up half your paper, you still can pass this exam So in the upcoming weeks, spend time when conducting your preparations, spend time to improve your skill set, because if you improve your skill set, you can easily achieve 80 out of 150. Okay, so then let's try to understand what your role is. So you are supposed to play the role of a senior finance manager, and you are directly reporting to the CFO of the company, or it could be the finance director or the head of finance. So it depends on the board responsibilities, or how the responsibilities are allocated within your chosen organization. In some pre-scenes, you will see a CFO. In some, you will see a finance director. And in some, you will see a head of finance. So irrespective of whether it's a CFO, a head of finance, or a finance director, you are reporting to board members of your organization or individuals who are at the strategic level of your chosen company. So that's what you need to remember. You are reporting directly to individuals who are at the strategic level, and as a direct report to the CFO or the finance director of your company, you are involved with long-term decision making. So those who are at the top of an organization, or those who are board members, are involved with something called an outside-in approach. Outside-in approach when it comes to decision making. So what is an outside-in approach? This is a situation where board members are constantly focused on how their decisions are going to impact the external dynamics of the company and the external stakeholders. So these board members should always think about, okay, if we take a decision, how is our decision going to impact the competitors within our industry? How is this decision going to impact the connected stakeholders, such as the shareholders, suppliers, and whatnot? And at the same time, we need to think in terms of how our decisions are going to impact the customers we are dealing with at the moment. So first things first, you need to think in terms of the industry, the stakeholders, both external as well as connected stakeholders, and then you need to think about how the internal dynamics of your chosen company might be impacted by these decisions. So that's how board members operate. So since you are directly reporting to the board, you need to adopt the same methodology, where you need to think in terms of how your decisions, how your recommendations, how your evaluations will impact the external dynamics of your company first, and then also you need to think in terms of how your decisions are going to impact the internal dynamics of your chosen company. So at this stage, a higher level of application and practical thinking is expected. So this exam is quite different to that of the MCS, or the management case study examination. Why am I saying this? Because at MCS, 50% of the questions were focused on testing your theory knowledge, and 50% of the questions were focused on testing your application skills. But in this exam, 80% of the questions are focused on testing your application skills, and 20% of the time, the examiner will directly test your conceptual or theoretical knowledge. So theories will definitely be tested. You have to be ready to develop answers concerning any conceptual framework covered under your E3, F3, and P3 syllabi. However, this exam is primarily focused on decision making, testing whether you can arrive at decisions. Why is this the case? Because you are playing the role of a senior finance manager, and as a senior finance manager, you are reporting directly to board members. So you are involved with the long-term direction of your company. So if you're involved with determining the long-term direction of your company, you are playing the role of a decision maker. So your decision-making skills, therefore your application skills, will be heavily tested in this examination. So out of the three case studies, the operational case study is highly technical, is intended to test your conceptual knowledge. And at the management case study, or the MCS stage, there's a good balance between testing conceptual knowledge as well as application. And at the strategic level, this paper is application heavy. So in order to improve your application, in order to come up with the best type of answers, you need to utilize the conceptual knowledge which you have gained via your E3, F3, and P3 syllabi. So That is why I'm saying that the SCS exam is the toughest out of the 3 case studies, but don't worry. There's absolutely no point of fearing this exam. If you stick to the 8-week study plan, and if you're disciplined enough to attempt the weekly mock exams and at the same time conduct revision focused on the same weekly mock exam, you can easily pass this examination. So then let's look at an overview of the examination. So at your exam, information is provided about a fictitious company in advance via something called a pre-seen document. So your exam is happening towards November, but next Friday, a pre-seen document will be released, which gives you an indication of what happens within your chosen industry, what happens within your chosen company, as well as financial statements of your chosen company and its closest competitor will be shared with you. So let me quickly take you through a typical pre-seen document to explain how a typical pre-seen is structured. So I'm going to take you through the pre-seen which was relevant for the May 2025 and August 2025 sittings, which was focused on a satellite manufacturing company called Leothair. All right, so let's look at how your pre-seen is structured. So you would see an introduction in which the examiner is highlighting about the history of your chosen company. And then there is a considerable amount of information concerning your chosen industry. So last time's pre-seen was chosen on a satellite manufacturer. So there's a lot of information about the satellite manufacturing industry. And then the examiner directs your attention towards the internal dynamics of your chosen company. And at the very end, you'd see some news stories or newspaper articles as well, which indicate the probable scenarios which can be tested at your real examination. So let me quickly take you through the entire document. So there's an introduction which gives you an indication of the history of your company. And then there's a lot of information about your chosen industry. So last time's industry was a bit confusing for most students because there was a lot of technical jargon thrown at you. And there's a lot of information concerning your industry, pages and pages of info. And then the examiner directs your attention towards your company. So thereby explaining what happens within your company, what happens within various different departments. And then your attention is directed towards the mission, vision, and values of your chosen organization. As I mentioned earlier, you have to think about the long run success of your company as a decision maker, as a senior finance manager. So whenever you are recommending something, or whenever you are involved with decision making, you need to think in terms of the mission, vision, and values of your chosen company, and whether your decisions are aligned with the mission, vision, and values of your chosen company. And then indication about the board members, or thereby explaining the skills and capabilities, the educational qualifications and backgrounds of your board members are shared with you, and along with indicating how board responsibilities are allocated. And there's an indication of how board committees are structured and what they look at. And at the same time, there's an indication of the principal risks which appear within the risk register of your chosen company. So this document, or this part of the document, indicates the risks the company has identified at the moment, along with the mitigatory strategies adopted by the company. So you need to have an understanding of whether the company has identified all the risks, because as per this pre-seen, I've conducted a separate evaluation in here. So as per the previous pre-seen, I've mentioned certain notable gaps which should have been considered, but it does not appear in the risk report. So usually the examiner shares a risk report or the risk register with certain gaps, with the intention of understanding whether you have identified these risks concerning various elements which appear concerning the industry dynamics of your chosen company. So you have to have an understanding of understanding these notable gaps. And after understanding these notable gaps, you have to have the capability to come up with recommendations to fix these problems which were not considered in the risk register. And also, considering the risks which were highlighted in the risk register, you need to understand what type of enhancements we can adopt, or what type of enhancements you can recommend with the intention of further insulating the company against the risks which appear within the risk register. So in this exam, your knowledge concerning risk identification and management, updating the risk register will heavily be tested. And after that, you would see the financial statements of your chosen company. So the statement of profit and loss, the statement of changes in equity, and the statement of financial position is shared with you. Remember, you are playing the role of a senior finance manager. So you need to know the numbers. You need to know the financial standing of your chosen company. Not just your chosen company, you need to have an understanding about your competitors' financial standing as well. So that is why the competitors' SOPL, the statement of changes in equity, as well as the SOFP is shared with you. And after that, there's an indication about the share price of your company. You would see a downward trend or an upward trend along with a beta value. So you should have the capability of understanding the connection between the downward or upward trend of the share price of your chosen company with its beta value. And in order to understand the beta value, you need to consider the industry in which you operate and the type of risks you are exposed to, because based on the uncertainty or the type of risks within the industry, your beta will be above 1 or below 1. All right, so these things are covered, and then towards the very end, news stories are shared with you with the prime intention of ensuring that some hints are shared with you which indicate the most probable scenarios which can be tested at the examination. So whenever the examiner is developing each variant or each paper, the examiner is going to utilize the information highlighted within these news articles. So that's how your pre-scene is structured. So this pre-scene will be released next Friday. So it's essential that you gain an in-depth understanding of what appears within the pre-scene, because you will see a lot of technical jargon which is actually not too relevant for your role. So definitely that is going to be the case, because there's a tendency for students, especially those who are coming through exemption routes, to go through all this information and try to memorize all this technical information. So there's absolutely no point of doing so, because as a senior finance manager, you need not know what the engineers are doing. You need to know the responsibilities carried out by the engineers in your company, but you need not have an in-depth understanding of the job roles or the daily or routine responsibilities carried out by the engineers. So likewise, there's a lot of unnecessary information. So you should have the capability of understanding or picking the most important points which appear within the pre-scene document. So that's exactly why we have developed these annotations with the intention of summarizing the entire pre-scene, thereby highlighting only the relevant information. And at the same time, based on the information, we have highlighted probable exam scenarios which can be tested, and tied to these exam scenarios, we have highlighted which syllabus areas may be tested at the exam. And when developing the mock exams, we have made sure to cover all these elements which appear as part of the annotations within the which appear within the annotated pre-scene. All right. So, and on top of that, we will also be developing something called a pre-scene mind map, thereby effectively developing a summary based on your entire pre-scene. So you need not worry about having to remember the most important points which appear within your pre-scene, because we will be sharing a document as such with you, so that on a daily basis you are simply supposed to go through this document until your examination, to make sure that you are constantly keeping yourself reminded of the most important points which appear within your pre-scene document. Okay, so that's that. And in the exam, you are required to address questions or issues relating to the strategic direction of the company. So as I mentioned earlier, you are directly reporting to the board of your company. So you are involved with the strategic direction of your company or the long-term direction of your chosen company. And the examiner is, when testing your knowledge, the examiner is testing, or the examiner will be testing whether you have a good understanding about the internal dynamics of your company as well as the industry. Because as a decision maker, you have to always think whether your decisions, how your decisions are going to impact the external environment, how your decisions are going to impact various different stakeholders of your chosen company, and how your decisions are going to impact the internal dynamics. So at office, think in a practical manner. At office, whenever you are conducting an evaluation or whenever you are coming up with a recommendation, you have to think about the external environment as well as the internal environment. So similarly, in here at this examination, if you are clueless of, or if you have knowledge gaps concerning what appears within the pre-scene, or if you have misunderstood pre-scene's info, then you cannot pass this exam. Because as a decision maker, you need to have a sound understanding about your industry as well as what happens within your chosen company. And on top of that, the examiner is also the prime intention of developing this type of examination is to test whether you have gained an appropriate level of knowledge concerning your E3, P3, and F3 syllabi. So the prime intention of the examiner is to test whether you have learned your theories and your conceptual or theoretical knowledge is tested in a practical manner via a case study with the intention of ensuring that you are capable of applying the conceptual knowledge which you have gained via your E3, F3, and P3 syllabi in a practical setting. So that's why I said your knowledge will be tested in a practical manner. That does not mean that you can avoid the theories, because if you are to come up with the best type of decisions, if you are to conduct evaluations in the most successful manner, you have to consider what appears within or what you have learned via your E3, F3, and P3 syllabi. So let me quickly explain which syllabus areas will be tested at the examination. So this is the document again which I developed for the previous case study, which was based on the exam sittings which happened in May and August 2025. Some syllabus areas will be a tad different, but it's going to be mirror image of what was tested in the previous case study, because any syllabus area from your E3, F3, and P3 syllabi can be tested at the exam. So your knowledge, so this is an E3 heavy paper, because the E pillar or the enterprise pillar has everything to do with decision making. Since your decision making skills are tested at this exam, this examination is primarily focused on your E3 syllabus. So your knowledge concerning strategic options versus the vision, mission, and values will be tested. So whenever you are recommending something, you should have the capability of understanding whether your recommendations are aligned with the current vision, mission, and values of your chosen company, and how to conduct a diversification, something like opting for vertical integration or entering into a new market, as well as how to deal with options, what we need to do when it comes to purchasing options, and how to conduct an acquisition. You have to have the capability to compare between an acquisition drive or us pursuing organic growth. And at the same time, you need to know what the emergent approach to strategy formulation is, how to deal with disclosure legislation, how to deal with shareholder concerns, how to deal with a share price drop, and you have to have the capability to utilize various different tools used to evaluate strategies and formulate strategies, such as competitor analysis. You should have a good understanding of how to conduct a competitor analysis, how to conduct scenario planning, as well as how to utilize the SAF framework, or the suitability, acceptability, and the feasibility framework when conducting your evaluations. And your knowledge concerning board responsibilities will be tested. So the board is supposed to deal with system incompatibilities, as well as the board is supposed to manage the internal business environment. When we are trying to do something new, the business ecosystem will change. So you should know how the business ecosystem might change and how to implement these changes, thereby focusing on change management strategies. And when trying to do something new, we will have to manage our stakeholders as well. And you should know how to conduct disciplinary action and what to do or what to look at in terms of appointing a risk manager and appointing various different board committees. It could be focused on sustainability or it could be focused on something else. Board committee appointments are totally focused on the shortcomings concerning corporate governance which appear within your pre-scene. So you'd gain a better understanding of these type of shortcomings on Friday when I'm conducting the pre-scene analysis. And your knowledge concerning corporate governance and ethics will be tested. So board accountability, how to deal with directors' remuneration, how to restructure the board, what to look at with regards to appointing an executive director versus a non-executive director, how to dismiss a director, and your knowledge concerning ethics and corporate governance will be tested in multiple angles tied to lobbying, chairman's or board's actions, as well as various different legal disclosures, especially tied to sustainability. And that's your E3 syllabus. And concerning your F3 syllabus, finance strategy related elements will be tested, which are focused on financing options whenever we are pursuing some type of a new initiative or whenever we are pursuing some type of new project. We need money. So when funding these long-term initiatives, we have to opt for either debt or equity. So you should have the capability of evaluating these two options and what to do when it comes to demonstrating creditworthiness to banks or lenders, how to handle a rights issue, how to fall in line with existing debt covenants of your chosen company, how to conduct company valuations, especially when trying to acquire a new company or when trying to merge with another company, what to look at when it comes to paying an additional dividend, how we should cancel a dividend and how such cancellations will impact your chosen company, and your knowledge concerning integrated reporting or the 6 capital framework will be tested, and also the financial implications of risks and how it impacts the share price, options, how it impacts the share price, as well as the beta changing. If the beta changes, how it might impact the share price. All these things which are covered in your finance strategy or your F3 syllabus will be tested. And as I mentioned earlier, you should have the capability of identifying the risks, identifying various risks and coming up with appropriate mitigatory strategies. So when doing so, you need to gain an understanding of what is covered within the risk report. And on top of that, you should have the capability of understanding what was not covered within the risk report as well. And your knowledge concerning internal audit responsibilities tied to acquisition negotiations, how to conduct internal audits and how to conduct compliance testing will be tested along with internal controls. So you should have the capability of suggesting internal controls to prevent a data breach or preventing risks and internal issues from occurring or recurring in the future. So all these elements will be tested at the exam. So you might think that the syllabus is huge. Yes, it is, but don't worry. We have made sure to cover all these syllabus areas when developing our mock exams. So if you stick to our study plan, as I mentioned earlier, you will cover all these syllabus elements and you can easily pass this examination. All right, so let's look at your to-do list. So in the upcoming 8 weeks, you are supposed to cover this to-do list. So let's try to understand what these requirements are. So first things first, you have to kickstart your preparations by watching the pre-scene analysis videos. So when the pre-scene is out on Friday, on the same day, you will gain access to these 3 pre-scene analysis videos via the paid content. So as I told you earlier, your pre-scene is divided into 3 main parts. There's an indication about your industry, indication about how your company functions, and an indication about the financial statements. So focused on the same 3 parts, we have developed 3 different videos. And once you have watched these videos, you will gain an in-depth understanding about the externals, internals, and the financial standing of your chosen company. After watching these 3 pre-scene analysis videos, you are supposed to read through the annotated pre-scene on your own, thereby revising your knowledge. And then you have to kickstart mock practice. And when it comes to attempting mocks, it is a must that you attempt 6 exam standard and pre-scene specific mock exams. Why 6 mock exams? because if you had gone through past variants or past papers, you would have seen that the examiner has continuously developed 6 different papers or 6 different variants with the intention of covering all syllabus areas. So you saw how vast the syllabus is. So the examiner cannot simply cover all syllabus areas by developing 3 papers or 3 variants. So it's essential that the examiner develops 6 variants with the intention of covering the entire syllabus. So when conducting your preparations, you should attempt 6 mock exams as well, because if you attempt just 2 or 3 mock exams or a lesser number of mock exams and walk into the exam, you will see certain conceptual elements which were not covered in your mock exams. So then you will be underprepared. When you are ill prepared, then you will struggle at your real examination. So don't test your luck at the exam. Make sure that you are fully prepared, especially if you are coming through an exemption route. It's essential that you learn all conceptual elements covered under E3, F3, and P3 pillars. And at the same time, it's essential that you understand how to apply these conceptual elements when developing your answers. So that's why you should gain access to these 6 mock exams and focus on attempting these mock exams when conducting your preparations. And on top of all these things, you have to attend the live webinars and workshops. Via the webinars, you will learn technicalities. Via the workshops, you will fine-tune your application skills, because then you'd realize how to approach each syllabus area in a successful manner, and therefore how to develop your answers in the most successful manner. You are supposed to refer to a set of slides as well, the industry analysis and financial analysis slides. So let me quickly tell you what these resources look like. So we at TCS, we develop industry analysis slides, which consist or which are divided into 4 main parts. In the first part, as part of the industry overview, we have defined your industry so that you'd gain a good understanding of what your industry is actually about. Then we have also indicated information concerning the competitive landscape, talking about the type of stakeholders we deal with, talking about the growth as well as the external dynamics. And on top of that, we have highlighted industry trends. Take it from me, based on these industry trends, scenarios will be thrown at you at your real examination. And towards the very end, concerning 2 real-life companies, we have explained how real-life companies operate in your chosen industry. So you need not conduct the industry analysis on your own. Don't waste time. Simply go through this set of slides. Within 10 to 15 minutes, you will gain a good understanding of what your industry is all about. And similarly, we have evaluated the financial statements of your chosen company and its closest competitor. So as you can see, we have evaluated the SOPL. We have conducted an in-depth evaluation looking at multiple angles. However, we have made sure to keep things simple so that you can easily gain an understanding of each financial statement. So similarly, we have evaluated the SOFP as well as the statement of changes in equity. And most importantly, we have conducted a ratio analysis, thereby comparing your performance against your closest competitor. Again, we have made sure to conduct an in-depth evaluation, yet keep things simple to ensure that you understand easily the financial standing of your chosen company against its closest competitor. All right, so you have to go through these resources on your own, and you have to go through the top 20 likely issue slides, which indicate the most probable scenarios which can be tested at the exam. And as and when necessary, whenever you are struggling with theory or conceptual elements, if you feel that you cannot remember certain conceptual elements, simply refer to the theory recaps which we have developed concerning E3, F3, and P3. In a jiffy, you are in a position to brush up your knowledge without having to waste a lot of time to learn theories on your own. And then you should also watch the master classes. We have developed 15 master classes focused on mocks 2 to 6. Don't worry about mock number 1, because the answers concerning mock number 1 will be explained in the 3rd webinar, as well as the first 3 workshops, E3, F3, and P3 workshops. But from mock 2 onwards, you will gain access to the master classes. And in each mock exam, there are 3 sections. So 3 sections into 5 mocks come up to 15 sections in total. So focused on each section, we have developed masterclasses with the prime intention of explaining the logic behind each answer, and at the same time teaching you the conceptual knowledge covered within each section of our mock exams, and also to teach you application then and there. So rather than you learning theory in isolation and then trying to figure out application on your own, when you have access to these master classes, you can easily learn theory, how each conceptual element can be tested at the exam. You can easily understand the logic or how to structure your answers. And at the same time, you will easily learn application skills. So if you are especially coming through an exemption route, it is essential that you have access to these master classes, because when you do so, you will learn all theoretical elements covering all syllabus areas. And at the same time, you will significantly improve your application skills. And also, you are supposed to refer to the answer plans of mocks 1 to 6. No other study provider is sharing answer plans with you. So with the mock exams, you will get access to something called suggested answers. So these are the answers. This is how your answers should look like. But as you can see, there's hordes and hordes of information, or pages of information in here. So you cannot easily determine how many points are included in the answer and what these points are. So we have developed answer plans with the intention of ensuring that you understand how to structure your answer properly. So rather than having access to pages and pages of information, when you have access to these answer summaries, you can easily understand the logic behind each answer. You can easily understand how to structure your answers and how many points you need to include based on the mark allocations. So I will explain how to develop these type of answer plans in the third webinar. For now, just remember the fact that you not just have access to the suggested answers, you also have access to these type of answer plans, which is the best way to learn theory and improve application. And at the same time, when it comes to revision, your life becomes easy, because you are simply supposed to try and redevelop these answer plans on your own. Once you have redeveloped these answer plans, compare your fresh answer plans to TCSS to further refine your application skills and answering technique. All right. So you have to go through these answer plans. And on top of that, we provide tutor feedback on mocks 3 and 5. So this is the type of feedback on offer at TCS. As you can see, we have conducted in-depth evaluations highlighting each and every shortcoming, because the objective of opting for this type of tutor feedback is to understand your mistakes. Because if you don't understand your mistakes, you can't take steps to get rid of these mistakes when conducting your revision. So if you are coming through an exemption route, it's essential that you opt for this type of tutor feedback to understand what your shortcomings are. Because after you understand these shortcomings, you can take steps to overcome them when conducting revision. So you can see the type of feedback on offer. We have evaluated each and every paragraph in depth. And at the very end, we have indicated mark allocations on a subtask by subtask basis. Along with it, we have also indicated a success rate as well. By looking at the success rate, you can easily understand the subtasks in which your performance was substandard. So if you look at this paper, this student scored just 56 marks. You can easily see why this is the case, because in subtask A, subtask 1A, the student had done a good job, but beyond that point, the student has not scored the appropriate success rate, or not achieved rather the appropriate success rate. So once you receive this type of feedback, when conducting revision, you are expected to redevelop answer plans focused on the subtasks which are highlighted in yellow. So these are the things which you need to achieve in the upcoming 8 weeks. You might think there's a lot, but don't worry. We have developed an 8-week study plan, thereby spreading all these activities across 8 weeks, which makes your life easy and enables you to conduct preparations in a stress-free environment. All right. And always remember the important dates. The exam entry focused on exams happening in November 2025 closes on the 4th of November 2025. So if you're planning on sitting for the exams happening in November, you have to book your seat before the 4th of November. However, I am not recommending you to wait until the last moment. If you have already planned to sit in November, book your place right now, because if you do so, you will commit to the study plan. If not, if you wait until the 4th of November, since the 4th of November is just 2 weeks before the examination, if you feel that you are ill prepared, you will postpone your sitting to February 2026, and you will do the same in Feb as well. So rather than postponing your sitting, it's essential that you do everything under your control in the upcoming 8 weeks to ensure that you pass in November. So in order to make sure that you commit to the study plan, in order to ensure that you do not postpone this examination, book your sitting right now. If you have already decided to sit in November, don't wait until the 4th of November or the exam booking deadline. Book right now. Then you can easily select a slot, because if you wait until the last moment, you'd have access to slots which start at ungodly hours, at 2 a.m. in the morning, at 1 a.m. in the morning, at 4 a.m. in the morning. So if you want to sit for the exam at 9 or 10 a.m., you have to book your seat right now. And looking at the exam dates, the exams are happening from the 19th to the 21st of November, 2025. All right. So having said that, before we move on to the 8-week study plan, let me quickly tell you what we offer at TCS. So I'm on the SCS page. If you're yet to create a free user account, click on this button and create a free user account. And once the pre-scene will be released on Friday, you will gain access to the study material via the dashboard. And these free study resources consist of the recorded versions of the weekly webinars and workshops, mock exam 1, its suggested answer, and the answer plan. Also, you'd gain access to the exam platform, TCS's exam platform, on which you can attempt mock number 1 in its entirety under exam conditions. So we have developed an exam platform, which is the exact replica of the Pearson VUE system on which you would attempt your real examination. So it's essential that you practice your mocks under exam conditions to ensure that you have the opportunity of being exposed to stressful situations, because it's better to be exposed to stressful situations right now rather than facing these stressors for the first time at your real examination. So all these resources are provided free of charge via the free account. So click on this button and create a free user account. And if you are interested in investing on our paid content, click on this button and check the sample material before you do so. And I urge you to join our SCS WhatsApp discussion forum by clicking on this button. Via this group, we will keep you guys informed of the weekly webinar and workshop commencement dates and times. Along with it, we will be sharing hordes of free resources. And whenever you have questions, I'm always there to answer your queries. All right, so make sure to join the SCS WhatsApp group. Having said that, let's talk about what we offer at TCS. So we offer 2 packages, the essential course and the premium course. So the essential course is designed for those who have completed their OTQ examinations. So if you have completed your E3, F3, and P3 OTQs, as I mentioned earlier, you have already learned theory. So when conducting preparations in the upcoming 8 weeks, your job is simply to improve application skills. And we have developed resources which are primarily focused on ensuring that you significantly improve your application skills. So under the essential course, you would gain access to the recordings of all webinars and workshops, 6 mock exams with suggested answers. As I mentioned earlier, we have made sure to cover all syllabus areas via these 6 mocks. You will gain access to the pre-scene analysis videos, the annotated pre-scene, industry and financial analysis slides, as well as the top 20 likely issues. And you would also gain access to the case study familiarization kit, which shares technical information concerning your SCS exam. You will also gain access to a tutor managed live chat and OTQ revision cards. So after attempting each mock exam, if you feel that you have to brush up your conceptual knowledge, or you have forgotten certain conceptual elements, simply go through these revision cards to brush up your knowledge in a jiffy. So the essential course is priced at £299. And talking about the premium course is intended for those who have failed the SCS exam previously and those who are coming through the exemption route. So both these sets of students have the same problem. There are gaps in theory knowledge and issues with application. So we have included some additional resources with the prime intention of teaching you theory and at the same time teaching you application. And we have included them under the premium course. So under the premium course, on top of what appears under the essential course, you'd gain access to the online mock exam platform, which is the exact replica of the Pearson VUE system, on which you can attempt all 6 mock exams under exam conditions, which is the best way to master your answering, time management, and stress management techniques. You will also gain access to answer plans of all 6 mock exams, which will ensure that you understand how to structure your answers. And at the same time, this will assist you immensely when you are conducting revision, as I explained previously. You will also gain access to 15 masterclasses, which are intended to teach you the logic behind each answer, teach you the theoretical concepts covered within each mock exam, and at the same time teach you application skills. And also you'd gain one-on-one tutor feedback on 2 mock exams, namely mocks 3 and 5, and you saw the type of feedback on offer. So the premium course is priced at £849, which can be paid in 2 installments of £424 each, or if you opt to pay in full, you will save £100. Therefore, the price is going to be just £749. So you can invest on your preferred course by clicking on either of these buttons, and all products are available until the 28th of February 2026. So if you're planning on sitting for the exams happening in Feb, you can start your preparations right now, so that it will give you a head start and some additional time to conduct your revision with the intention of improving your skill set in the upcoming weeks. All right. So having said that, let's walk into the 8-week study plan. So the study plan can be accessed via the same page by simply clicking on this button. All right, so we have developed an 8-week study plan. So you can see the week numbers here: week 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 6, 7, and finally 8. And you can also see the weekly study hours which you are supposed to dedicate, and at the same time the type of activities you need to complete in each week. So we are in week number 1 as per this study plan. So the pre-scene is not out as yet. So within this week, you need to dedicate 8 hours of study time, in which you are supposed to refer to the OTQ theory recaps, go through these theory recaps to gain an understanding of which syllabus areas are tested at the exam. You need not, spend a lot of time to memorize all these theories and whatnot, because all conceptual elements are covered within the 6 mock exams. So you can learn theory by attempting the mocks and by conducting revision focused on the same mock exams. In this week, simply leisurely go through the theory recaps to gain an understanding of which syllabus areas are tested at the exam, and also read through the SCS familiarization kit to gain an in-depth understanding about the technicalities behind your SCS examination. So once you're done with it, in week number 2, you have to, once the pre-scene is out, you have to focus your attention towards decrypting the pre-scene document. So attend the second webinar, pre-scene analysis, then you will understand how to use the pre-scene document. And after attending it, watch the 3 pre-scene analysis videos to get a good understanding of the entire pre-scene, and then refer to the annotated pre-scene on your own, thereby revising your knowledge, and refer to the industry and financial analysis slides as well. So week number 2 is dedicated towards the pre-scene. After understanding the pre-scene, then you have to kickstart your mock attempts from week number 3 onwards. So out of the weeks which are dedicated towards mock attempts, week number 3 is the most hectic. Why am I saying this? Because you are supposed to dedicate 12 hours of study time. However, from week 4 onwards, you are simply supposed to dedicate just 9 hours on a weekly basis. So why are you supposed to spend 12 hours of study time in week number 3? Because in this week, you are supposed to attempt 2 mock exams. And when attempting each mock exam, it will take you 3 hours. So when you are supposed to attempt 2 mock exams within this week, definitely it will take 6 hours of your time. And on top of that, the remaining 6 hours should be dedicated towards refining your knowledge or conducting your revision. So in week number 3, you are supposed to attempt the first 2 mock exams. And after you are done with the 2 mock attempts, watch the 3 masterclasses which are developed focused on mock number 2. This is when you will learn how you should have structured your answers and how to tackle with application. So the objective of attempting mock exams under exam conditions is to practice your answering, time management, and stress management techniques. Try to give your best shot when attempting each mock exam. However, before each mock attempt, don't go through any answers. Don't read through the suggested answers. Don't go through the answer plans. Don't watch the master classes. When attempting each mock exam, do it on your own. Try to give your best shot, because when you are doing it on your own, you will realize the type of stressors you encounter. You will realize the subtasks in which you were struggling. You will realize that you are running out of time. You will realize that when you are running out of time, you'd panic. And when you panic, you experience something called brain freeze. And when you are experiencing brain freeze, you cannot do anything. So there's a tendency for you to give up the mock attempt halfway through. So I want you to experience all these negative elements when conducting your preparations, because if you are encountering these problems right now, you will take steps to improve your or overcome your shortcomings, or you will take steps to avoid these problems when conducting your preparation. If not, you will face the same type of problems for the first time at your real exam. If so, you will end up failing the exam. So it's good to face these problems when attempting mock exams. So don't cheat, don't go through the answers, try to do your best shot, because when you commit mistakes, after committing the mistakes, when you watch the master classes, then you will realize, okay, this is how I address this type of this requirement when I was attempting the mock exam. But when you watch the master classes, you will realize this is how I should have developed my answer. So the easiest way to learn is to learn through your mistakes. So you will encounter mistakes when attempting each mock exam, and you can fix all these problems when you learn theories and application by watching the master classes. And after you have watched the master classes, your preparations will not stop there. You need to test for yourself whether you have gained something via the master classes by redeveloping answer plans. So you need to adhere to this 3-step process. Attempt a mock exam under exam conditions with the intention of practicing your answering, time management, and stress management techniques. Once you have practiced these 3 techniques, learn theory and improve application by watching master classes. That is the second step. And the third step is to make sure that you have concrete knowledge of how to structure answers, what you should include within the answers by pre-developing answer plans. So attempt a mock, watch the master classes, redevelop answer plans, and as and when necessary, you can compare your fresh answer plans to TCSS to further refine your understanding and get rid of your shortcomings. So that's what you are supposed to adhere to when conducting preparation. So in week number 3, although you are supposed to attempt 2 mock exams, from week 4 onwards, your life becomes easy, because you are simply supposed to attempt 1 single mock exam per week. So in week 4, you are supposed to attempt mock number 3, watch the master classes focused on mock number 3, and redevelop answer plans to see whether you have the capability of replicating TCSS answer plans or developing answer plans which are akin to TCSS on your own. And in week number 5, focus on mock number 4, and in week number 6, focus on mock number 5. In week number 7, focus on mock number 6. And if you stick to this study plan, in the 8th week, which is your exam week, you can start to relax. So in the exam week, almost all the students are under undue levels of stress. They are trying to do everything under the sun. When everyone is stressed out, you are supposed to relax. And when you are calm and composed before the examination, you will be calm and composed during your real examination. So it's essential that you take steps to relax after going through all these preparations across 7 weeks. So on the 8th week, which is your exam week, you are simply supposed to attend the final workshop, in which I'm going to share last minute tips with you, which is going to be a confidence booster. and then simply refer to the answer plans of all 6 mock exams. When you go through these answer plans, it's as if you are going through all syllabus areas once more. So rather than going through the theoretical elements which are highlighted within your study text, your past study notes and whatnot, the easiest way to go through the entire syllabus is to refer to the answer plans, because when you are going through these answer plans, you are covering the entire syllabus, and at the same time you are reminding yourself as to how to approach each conceptual element, and simply reread the annotated pre-seen. So within the last week, you are not supposed to attempt any mocks. You are not supposed to watch any master classes. You are not supposed to redevelop answer plans. Instead, you are simply supposed to go through the answer plans and reread the annotated pre-seen. So as I mentioned earlier, 99% of the students start their preparations just 2 weeks before the examination. So yes, you can complete all 6 mocks within just 2 weeks. However, you won't have time to improve your skill set or refine your answering technique, because you won't have time to conduct revision. So it's essential that you start your work right now and stick to this 8-week study plan, because if you do so, it's simply a matter of attempting a mock exam per week and conducting revision focused on the same weekly mock exam. If you do so, you will have enough time to focus on revision, because it's essential that you improve your skill set. Just because you have attempted the 6 mocks, you will not pass this exam. You have to take steps to refine your skill set, because your knowledge is tested in a practical manner. The examiner tries to make sure that you deserve to become a management accountant. And if you are a management accountant, you need to apply your knowledge which you have gained via this study process in your day-to-day lives when running your own business or in a corporate setting. So it's essential that you take steps to improve your skill set. We have covered all syllabus elements. We have covered the mocks. So you need not worry about the study resources. Depending on these study resources, your job is to improve your skill set. If you improve your skill set, you will definitely pass this examination. And you might, when it comes to approaching each week, I will explain what you are supposed to do. So leave out Mondays. So let's assume you are in week number 4, and in this week you are supposed to attempt mock number 3. Okay, so leave out Mondays, because usually Mondays are hectic at office. So the best practice is to attempt mock number 3 on a Tuesday. So attempt the weekly mock on a Tuesday. On Wednesday, watch the master classes. This is when you'd learn theory and application. This is when you'd understand the logic behind each answer. This is when you'd understand how you should have structured your answer. So do it on Wednesday. And on Thursday, redevelop answer plans. And on Friday, compare your fresh answer plans to TCS's. So if you stick to this process, your real responsibility is to simply attempt the mock exam, which is going to take 3 hours of your time. But beyond that point, it's simply a matter of watching a set of videos and redeveloping answer plans, because when it comes to redeveloping answer plans, it is going to take just 1.5 to 2 hours of your time. Okay, so your real responsibility is to attempt the weekly mock exam. Then you'd understand what your shortcomings are. You will struggle. When you struggle, you will be forced to watch the master classes. When you watch the master classes, you will definitely take steps to redevelop answer plans on your own. So stick to this process. If you do so, towards the weekend, it's simply a matter of attempting the weekly webinar or workshop, and carrying out with your household chores during the weekend as usual, because I know for a fact everybody is involved with household chores during the weekend. And spend time with your loved ones or your family members during the weekend. Don't sacrifice these things just because you have to attempt this examination. So get everything done during the weekdays. So on Tuesday, attempt the weekly mock exam. On Wednesday, watch the master classes. On Thursday, redevelop answer plans. On Friday, compare your fresh answer plans to TCS's. So that's how you should approach each week. If you do so, towards the last week, you can start relaxing when everyone is scrambling for time, when everyone is under extreme levels of stress. You will be calm and composed. And as I mentioned earlier, if you are calm before the exam, you will be calm during the exam. If not, what happens is, If you are stressed before the examination, you will definitely be stressed during your exam. So at your exam, always think that it's as if you are walking into office on a Monday. So Mondays are usually hectic. So if you are to function properly on a Monday, you have to be well rested during the weekend. However, during the weekend, if you were up till late, if you didn't have your meals on time, and at the same time, if you were under extreme levels of stress, can you function properly on a Monday? You can't. So this exam replicates a similar situation. So if you were not sleeping properly, if you were under a lot of stress, and if you miss your meals due to your stress levels, then you will take these stressful situations or this negative energy to your examination and end up failing the exam. So it's essential that you rest well before the exam. So that's why we are recommending you guys to sleep, stop preparations a day prior to the exam, sleep, eat, and rest well. So it's ideal if you can take a break 2 days before the exam, so that you are well rested before your real examination. So the benefit of taking a break before the exam is numerous. You might think that I'm crazy to ask you to take a break a day or two before your examination, but this is definitely going to help you guys out. So the reason behind me asking you to take a break before the exam is the fact that the examiner tells us that you have to be calm during the exam. And if you are to be calm during the exam, you have to be relaxed before the examination. So it's essential that you take a day or two off. So if your exam is on Wednesday, make up your mind to complete all your work by the end of Monday at least. Take Tuesday off, sleep properly, spend time with your loved ones, or be involved with any hobbies you are into. If you are into watching TV, watch TV, spend some time with your family members, spend some time with your friends, take steps to relax. Because if you're relaxed before the exam, you will be relaxed during the examination. So when hordes and hordes of students are trying to do so much right before the exam, you are headed in a totally different direction. Because of that, you are going to pass this exam. So I've seen students at examination centers right before the exam, just 15 minutes before the exam, they are referring to mock exams. They are going through bulky study texts, which indicates the fact that they are stressed. They are trying to remember everything. So in a real life corporate environment, you are not supposed to remember everything. Instead, you are supposed to read through the emails you receive and come up with practical recommendations or conduct practical evaluations. So if you are to be practical, you have to be relaxed. If not, your brain won't function properly. So that's why I want you guys to stick to the study plan, because if you do so, you will start relaxing during the exam week, and you are supposed to stop work a day or two prior to your examination. And in this week, when you have stuck to this study plan, by the time you are in week number 8, you will know for a fact that you have covered all mock exams, you have watched all master classes, you have redeveloped all answer plans. Because of that, you will build a high level of confidence, a high level of positivity, knowing very well that you have done all the hard yards before the exam. And this level of confidence will ensure that you pass this examination comfortably. So I hope and pray that you will stick to the study plan. So your real work starts from next week onwards, when the pre-scene is released on Friday. So I hope you will stick to this study plan religiously in order to conduct your preparations in a stress-free environment. And if you're not stressed when preparing for this exam, you won't be stressed at your real examination. All right, so that's our 8-week study plan. And those who stuck to our 8-week study plan passed. So and got good marks as well. So in May 2025, we achieved a 92% pass rate, which is an extremely high pass rate, simply given the fact that we are forcing you guys to stick to the study plan. And if you stick to the study plan, you are taking steps to learn all syllabus areas and significantly improve your application skills, practice your answering, time management, and stress management techniques. When you cover all these elements, you will pass for sure. All right, so that is our pass rate. Having said that, I'm directing your attention towards the Q&A. So I'm going to pause the recording. If you have any questions, you can switch on your mic and talk or drop a message via the chat. I'm going to pause the recording. All right, folks, thank you for those questions. I hope I addressed everything. So if you want to contact us, you can do it via our website, which is www.study@tcs.com. Visit our website and click on the contact button and drop us a message. Our admin staff will get in touch with you via email during office hours, or you can directly email us via info@study@tcs.com or WhatsApp me on this number for instantaneous support. And I urge you to follow us on our social media handles, especially YouTube and TikTok, because via YouTube, you'd gain access to the recorded versions of the weekly webinars and workshops. And on TikTok, you'd gain access to 6 videos, which indicates a pre-scene mind map. So once the pre-scene is released, we will release these 6 TikTok videos. So on a daily basis, for instance, on your way to office, keep watching these 6 TikTok videos to constantly remind yourself of the most important points which appear within the pre-scene document. So I hope you'd make use of the free resources on offer. And the concluding thought is to approach this exam as an opportunity to learn rather than an exam to pass. So your job is not to memorize anything. The only element which you should memorize is with regards to what appears within the pre-scene mind map, which we are going to share with you. Other than that, when conducting preparations, it's not about memorizing the logic behind each answer. Instead, it's about understanding the logic behind each answer, because if you do so, it indicates the fact that you are taking steps to learn and improve your skill set. And if you're learning something new, and if you're taking steps to improve your skill set, then you will pass this exam comfortably. All right, so having said that, it brings us to the end of the first webinar. I hope you gained something out of this session, and I hope to see you guys next Friday at 18 GMT or 7 PM UK, in which I'm going to conduct an industry analysis and a pre-scene analysis. So thank you for joining. I'll see you guys next Friday.